I was supposed to record on Sunday, but because of all the things that were going on, I had to postpone it and get my thoughts together and stop dealing with the phone calls that kept coming in. If I really recorded, you would have heard this phone buzzing the entire time. But these are the pluses and minuses of being an owner of the valet company. Whether it's myself, the managers, I'm getting phone calls and we're having to deal with some of this stuff. So next is going to be some of the stories we had to deal with over this weekend to kind of show you guys what it's like. It's not all glitz and glamour. Sometimes we have to deal with some of the BS too that comes along with it. This week has been kind of difficult. As we call it in valet parking, this is Hell Week. And what Hell Week is, it's really the week before Christmas and New Year's Eve where things go bananas. And I don't know what it is. Is it the weather? Is it I have too much pressure on me? The valets have too much pressure on them? But regardless of whatever it is, it's total chaos. I decided to do it a little differently and show you guys what this weekend has truly been like. Let me ask you this. How could someone get so hot, meaning the temperature inside their body, when it is so cold outside? Atlanta temperature has been anywhere from 24 degrees all the way up to probably 60 if we're lucky, but average it's been sitting about mid 40s. But I tell you, I am burning up. So Saturday morning I got up, and honestly one of my routines is I love to wash my cars. Even if it's cold outside, I'll wash the cars and then pull them back in the garage and just kind of enjoy them. Well, it started early, probably about 8:15 or 8:14 to be exact. I get a call from one of my accounts. My valet's supposed to be there at 8 o'clock. He did not get there. I called the valet, and of course, you want to guess? That's right, I woke him up. I gave him a call. What's going on? He's like, I'm so sorry, Alex. I'm on my way. But this is not the first time this valet has overslept. It's been several excuses, whether it's his cell phone dying in the middle of the night or whatever the case is. It drives me insane. So he gets there an hour later. So technically he's supposed to be there at 8 o'clock. He gets there almost at 9:20. It's an embarrassment. The account is not happy, and bottom line, I need to do something about it. And I think, honestly, I'm going to remove this valet off of this lot, move him somewhere else, but remove him off of this lot. He just doesn't do well with morning shifts. I know that's not an excuse. We're all grown-ups here. I think this guy is 23 years old, so there should be no reason, but I have learned that a lot of the valets are either morning valets or evening valets. Some are not morning people, and when they're there, they're literally groggy, and it's almost like I'm punishing them. If that's the case, this isn't a job for you. You need to do something else. But where else are you going to go? Most jobs are 9 to 5, so if he goes somewhere in the future, he's going to be later. He's not going to be a morning person. But that was the first start. Now, a few minutes later, I'm starting to settle out and everything like that. We have another shift that starts at 10 a.m. somewhere else, and guess what? I got another phone call. That valet is late also. Now, this one's not that late. He's only like 14 or 15 minutes late, but I did not know at the time, but this valet, while he was driving to work, he actually lost his family member, and he was across the street in a parking lot crying before he went into work. He didn't tell me this until yesterday, which was Monday, so I feel extremely bad, but overall the restaurants or the accounts don't care. This guy was supposed to be there at 10 a.m. He was late, but I can bite the bullet on that one. I'm not insensitive. So, seeing how the pattern was going for Saturday, I decided in the afternoon to start calling all of my problemed valets. And problemed valets are anybody who's typically late before, or they have car issues and all that. So I start messaging, not everybody, but at least a good amount of them to say, hey, you know what? Are you going to be at work on time? And most of them responded except for one. And I'm like, oh, Lord. But he's usually very late to respond. I get a response at 4:55. Do you still need me to come in? Hell yeah, I need you to come in. What do you mean, do I need you to come in? He's like, well, I got in a fight with my girlfriend last night, and she beat me up pretty bad, and I just woke up. What the? I cannot believe this. This valet, you can't be kidding me. I'm like, yes, I need you to go to work. He's like, well, my face is scratched up. I don't care. You need to be at work at 5:30. Get ready. Text me when you're leaving out of the house. This valet texts within the next 15 or 20 minutes. He's like, hey, I don't have a ride to work. She was my ride to work. I don't care. Get a Uber is what I'm texting this guy. Just get to work. He's like, well, who's going to pay for the Uber? Are you going to pay for it? And honestly, at that point, I lost it. I lost all my bananas and I went off on this guy. You got to be kidding me. You get to work or you're no longer working. And if you want to take a guess, yes, he didn't go to work and we had to get that shift covered. This valet is no longer working, but these are the types of attitudes. Not only do you get in a fight with your girlfriend, you're late to work, and not only are you late to work, you now want your boss to Uber you? What kind of entitlement is this? I really have to ask that question. And it really drove me crazy, and I was frustrated. It destroyed my Saturday night because I don't like that vibe and that energy carrying it on. Honestly, it lasted for maybe another 2 hours, and then I was starting to settle out and mellow out. Then you think it's crazy. It's 11 o'clock. I'm actually working on some things, valet-wise, PM. And I start getting a whole bunch of phone calls. I'm like, oh Lord. Usually when I get a late night phone call from an unknown number, it's a situation in a parking lot. So I answer the phone and the guy said, hey, he's running late. He left the parking lot and left his car there. And he needed to make sure when he came back, the valet didn't close up and put the keys inside the restaurant. So to his benefit, the valet was still there. The valet's there until midnight. But luckily, this guy was smart enough, or I'm glad this guy was smart enough to say, hey, you know what? Let me give these guys a call and make sure they don't lock up with my keys. Because a lot of people will come back at 1 or 2 in the morning and expect the valet to still be there, when generally at midnight, most of these places close. So that was Saturday night, and I was like, it's time for bed. I went to bed. The next morning, it's the same kind of a repeat of what happened the day before. We have different valets on it, and if you want to guess, yes, out of those 2 shifts, one valet was on time, but the other valet was almost 2 hours late again. Now, again, parts of me are like, okay, I work some of these valets until 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning, and then they have another shift at 10 a.m. So a lot of times you can't do that, or even in the season, it's really difficult because we have so many events going on. These valets are working hard. So again, I take some of the responsibility, but at the same time, the valets, we don't do this to them every single day. It's usually a Saturday to a Sunday, or a Friday to a Saturday. So this valet overslept for a 10 o'clock shift and of course didn't get there until 11 o'clock. I was very disappointed because if nothing else, call me, let me know, and I can put someone else in that position until you get there. Or even I can go out there or send one of the managers out there to cover your shift. But to not call or even not to wake up, that's the part that really gets to me. So needless to say, the account was very pissed off. And I had to have a conversation with them probably 3 or 4 times on Sunday because they were very disappointed because our valet was late. And then on top of that, the valet wasn't found. They couldn't find the valet for a few minutes, and he was actually inside the guard shack or valet room looking down at his phone, not paying attention to the cars pulling in. So I got I'm just like, are you serious? And this is a great valet. The valet usually does a really good job, but I really don't know what was going on this weekend. I honestly Googled to see if it was a full moon, because sometimes when there's a full moon, it affects the personalities and the attitudes of the employees. I know it sounds crazy, but if you look into it scientifically, it's actually, that's why a moon's called lunar, and then sometimes they call people lunatics. It has to do with the moon and the positioning of it. So I had to check, and no, it's not a full moon. It's not a full moon until December 29th. But I do check it out, so I'm definitely going to be checking next week when some craziness might happen on, Tuesday or Wednesday. So this valet ended up going in. Everything was fine. He did get in trouble at that point by being on his phone. So what I ended up doing, I said, that's it. I need a meeting with all of these valets. I think it was 7 or 8 of them. So Monday morning, we had a meeting, mandatory meeting at 11 o'clock at the location to make sure this doesn't happen again. I felt good after the meeting, but I have to make sure, because these accounts, they don't play. They don't care what the excuses are. They pay us to be there. They don't care, honestly, not being unsentimental or unsympathetic, but if someone's parents pass away or someone's a loved one passes away or if someone overslept or their phone didn't work, they don't care. Bottom line, they want us there each and every time, on time, no excuses. And honestly, that's what I promised them. So I really have to concentrate and make sure these types of things don't happen. But that was just one simple weekend, and I hope this stuff is over soon.